Untold Horror Stories 2.2.
This didn't settle him, however. Understandably, of course, given the circumstances. But he was asserting that his children had been taken. I tried to reassure him that was unlikely, due to no other people being up in this part of the woods. He wasn't convinced, though. We rejoined the others and began asking the parents about their two kids. Jenny is 7 years old and Matthew is 10. They're both wearing red winter coats and black boots. Jenny has shoulder-length blonde hair and Matthew has short brown hair. They were both sleeping in there. The kid's dad tells us, pointing at a small green tent. We got up about an hour and a half ago and they were just gone. No sign of them. My brother and his wife are out there right now, still looking. But we don't have enough eyes to find them. We tried calling out and looking around the area, but we've had no luck. So we called you guys. We need help, he added. The mother is beside herself at this point, barely audible due to tears. She's crying and blubbering that she knew someone was watching them, blaming herself for the current state of affairs. I question the dad about what she's talking about, as Chris pulls out his radio and requests the search and rescue team to be deployed, before he heads out into the tree line to aid the other campers in the search. 2 days ago, we were hiking about 10 miles from here, when we started hearing noises. Twigs snapping, leaves crunching, stuff like that. We looked around but couldn't see anyone. Just assumed it was an animal, but that night, we were camped up. Me and my wife were laid in our tent, as were the others. We start to hear something in the distance. It sounded like whistling, I think. It's hard to tell, but it definitely had a tune to it. Could have been the wind, though. He begins to explain, having a hard time putting it into context. Okay, I say, probing him to continue. Yesterday, more sounds followed us as we hiked. Twigs and branches breaking. And then last night, we're in our tents, all of us are asleep. I start having this dream that I can hear the whistling sound again. But this time it's close and all around the camp. It's like the wheels on the bus. Yeah, that's the tune. I wake up and that's when I find my kid's tent door open and they're both gone. His sentence trailed off as his head hangs down and he starts massaging his neck. He gets this serious look on his face and with tears in his eyes, he says, I'm starting to think that I wasn't dreaming. I stay silent, processing what he's just told me, as the father starts slapping his own head aggressively. Idiot, why didn't you go check? He scolded himself. I sat there awkwardly, trying to calm the man down, assuring him that we would do our best to find his kids. His wife approaches him and they both find comfort in an embrace as they collapse in each other's arms. I watch on gracefully. I can't tell you how many stories that I heard at the retreat about search and rescue ops, where couples start screaming and blaming each other. It just makes these situations a lot worse. I request a photo of the two kids so I can give it to the SNR team when they arrive. The father hands me a photo out of his wallet and I examine it while Chris walks back into the clearing with the in-laws.
Shit.
No kids with them, much to the further dismay of the parents. I examine the picture. It's a family photo of the mom and dad standing on either side of their two missing children. I focused in on these small details of the young'uns' appearances, trying to find those small distinguishing features that would make them more identifiable to potential witnesses. I noticed the mole on the left cheek of Matthew and I made a note of it. Jenny had a peculiar eye color of blue mixed in with green. And I made a note of that, too.
Shit.
The search and rescue turned up around an hour later. They got the volunteers and the rangers organized quickly and began dividing the surrounding area on a map into search squares. The entire team would be divided into smaller teams that would search each square thoroughly, radioing in that it was clear once we had finished. We searched every square over the course of 5 days. Each night that went passed with no result. The mom screamed louder and the dad held her tighter. as we all imagine these two kids out in the woods, scared, cold, and hungry. But on the fifth night, when these search teams came back into camp, once again empty-handed, the talk began of calling off the search effort. The parents began screaming and yelling, accusing us of giving up too early, but there was nothing more that we could have done. If those kids weren't where we had looked, then they would either be abducted by aliens or they had sprouted wings and flown out of the park. But just as the S&R team leader was explaining, they would keep an eye out and rangers would patrol the trails every day, just in case they turned up. The bushes began to rustle behind us. We all turned to see what it was, some even raising firearms in case it was a large predator. But it wasn't a predator. It wasn't even an animal. It was a kid. Jenny, the missing 7-year-old girl, came pushing her way out of the tree line and into the camp, like nothing had ever happened. She looked clean, healthy, and coherent. She didn't look like a girl who had spent over 120 hours in the wilderness with no supplies or equipment. Her mother ran to her and grabbed her like she would never get to touch her again. We all rushed over to the heartwarming reunion between the parents and their child.
More signals.
But those feelings of warmth and happiness came to a halt as I began to process how wrong this entire scenario was, and the parents realized that Jenny was alone. "Jenny, where's your brother?" the mother asked frantically. Jenny just stares at her vacantly, and her response has lived in my head rent-free ever since. "He's playing with the funny animals." No trace of Matthew was ever found until tonight, which had prompted me to write this because I don't know what's out there, but I think it or they are taunting me, just like they had done to the person before me. He kept a diary, and now I am doing the same.
I didn't know.
After Jenny pointed to a group in the direction of where she had come from, they took to try and track her movements to find Matthew. The mother stayed with Jenny while the dad went with the group, now re-instilled with the hope that Matthew was alive. Funny animals to him meant a squirrel or a rabbit, but the answer just seemed much more sinister to a neutral. I guess people hear things differently when they have an emotional attachment. I stayed with the mother and Jenny. I sat down beside them, making sure that she had everything she needed. Food, water, blankets, whatever. At one point, the mother said that she needed to use the bathroom, but couldn't bring herself to leave Jenny. I assured her that I wouldn't let Jenny out of my sight and tell her that I'll sit and talk with her until she gets back. After reluctantly agreeing, she leaves me alone with the girl. I decided to use this time to get a bit more information out of her. "Jenny, where did you go in the night? Your mom says she got up and couldn't find either of you or your brother," I asked with a soft caution. "All the funny animals asked us to come play," she responds, like it was the most normal response in the world. I decided to humor her. "Okay, and when you say funny animals, what do you mean?" "The fox man. He asked us to come with him. Matthew didn't want to, so the fox man carried him," she responds cheerfully. I sat eyes wide, as the images in my head did not match her innocent recount of her experience. "Okay, and then what happened when you went with the fox man? Where did he take you?" I asked, trying to keep up my facade of enthusiastic interest that hid just how disturbing this all was. "He took us to the others. The deer man, the bear man, the wolf man, and the kitty man." "Okay." My voice trembling with fear at this point. "And what did they do with you? What made them funny, Jenny?" "They took us to their house. And they were funny because they were like people but with the heads of animals. They didn't wear clothes even though it was cold outside. Oh, and they crawled around on their hands and feet with their bellies up in the air. Funny, huh?" She asked me with a giggle. Yeah, funny," I gasped before zoning out, as a horrifying image of a crab-crawling men with animal heads was haunting my mind. I stayed quiet as the mom began walking back over to us. One question popped into my my mind to ask while I had the chance. Was their house in the middle of the woods? Looked kind of burnt, like it had been on fire. I asked curiously. The girl nods, which made my heart sink. And what happened when you got there? Did you stay there the whole time? I asked, the seriousness palpable in my expression. When they took us inside, the foxman fed me and sang to me in the attic. And after a while, he brought me back to Mom and Dad. She responds with an appreciation to her tone. The mom is just about to reach us when I ask, what about her brother? The other funny animals took him down to the basement to play with them. They said that they would bring him back when they were finished, so he'll be back soon. The mother sits down and gives Jenny another big hug, like she had just found her all over again. I smiled politely, silently assuring her that she's been no trouble. Jenny was wrong, though. They never found Matthew, nor the house that he was apparently taken to. I had told Chris the details from my disturbing conversation with Jenny, but Chris informed me that he had been a ranger around these parts for 12 years, and he's never come across a house in the woods ruined or new. We searched, nonetheless, over the next few months, but nothing ever came of it. This was my first missing persons case. It did rattle me, I'll admit that. The sound her mother made when the party came back empty-handed, good God. I think the fact Jenny came back gave her hope. So to have it ripped away once again, it just broke her. I felt guilty. I gave the couple my phone number and agreed to keep an eye out for the boy and to do everything I could to find him. Chris told me that I shouldn't have done this. I felt that he was being a little cold and harsh at the time. I was just trying to give the couple some peace of mind. But unfortunately, I saw his point in the end. Over the next 3 months, I must have received over 200 calls from that couple, demanding that I find their boy. And when we found nothing, guess who was the punching bag? I got to the point where I simply had to ignore their calls. They eventually stopped, and I assumed they had accepted their loss, but no. The officer called me one day and told me that the couple had raised a complaint against me. They scolded me for not setting boundaries and getting too emotionally invested in a job where we can get emotionally invested. People go missing in the woods all the time. I'm gonna have to get used to that, apparently. The higher-ups inform me that protocol dictates that I should be placed on suspension while the complaint is investigated. I began to hand over my firearm and my ranger's badge in a huff when Bill told me to stop. He whispered to the other shot callers before they turned back to face me. They were confident that I wouldn't lose my job at the end of it. It would go down as just a lack of foresight due to inexperience. There was no malice in what I did, and I didn't get anybody hurt or killed due to misconduct or incompetence. The parents were just looking for a scapegoat to blame for the disappearance of their son, and my do-gooder attitude had put me in the firing line. But regardless, they had made a complaint about my conduct, messing with their heads and exploiting their grief by making false promises or the words they used in their letter to the office. They made me out to be a careless sociopath, and due to the Forestry Services being a government office, I needed to be punished accordingly. But they informed me that I had an alternative to simply going home for 3 months while this thing ran its course. One of the fire watchers had abandoned his post without notice 2 weeks ago. We were into the spring, and it could be months before they found a new recruit for the tower, and summer was coming. They offered me the tower position while I sat on my suspension. I would be out of the way in case any inspectors of the couple came around. And rather than sitting on my butt at home, I could earn a new skill and keep my knowledge and mental mapping of the woods on point. It seemed like a win-win at the time. I'd been in this tower for 3 weeks at the time of writing. I was given a crash course by Bill as he brought me up here. I have enough food for 1 month, but if I need more, I radio in and they can have some brought to me. Bathroom porter cabin was at the foot of the tower. I had books, a TV, and a stack of crappy DVDs to keep me somewhat entertained. I was to watch for large fires throughout the day, along with a daily patrol of a 5-mile radius. looking for reckless campfires. The tower was in the middle of backwood wilderness, around 20 miles from the Black Hills. No trails, so any campfires around here were strictly forbidden, especially this time of the year. This seemed like a pretty easy job and one that would fit my personality, as I wasn't exactly a social butterfly.
Shit.
But after around 3 days, I started to miss the human interaction.
Crap.
Because when you're alone, isolated, and in the middle of the deep dark woods at night, things can get eerie to say the least. It was night 5 when I found it. I was laying on the bed listening to the breeze whistle through the trees. I didn't know if it was the conversation with Jenny still ruling my mind, but I swore the whistling began to form a tune. I told myself that I was just exhausted and it was because of this bed. I've never felt so uncomfortable in my life. It was like one of the lats were deformed and digging into my back. I climbed onto the floor, grabbing a hold of the mattress and driving my knees into the floor in order to lift it. I found the problem instantly. The lats were fine. The mattress was a little thin, but the problem lied in the fact that hidden beneath the mattress and in the middle 2 lats were 2 VHS tapes and a ledger. I looked down in confusion in what I was seeing. I took them out and I placed them down on my bedside table, allowing the mattress to drop back perfectly into place. I hopped back onto the bed and picked up the 2 VHS tapes. They looked old even for their era. DVDs would be ancient these days, but at least I'd be able to see what's on them. So instead, I picked up the ledger. A green leather sleeve was hugging the cluster of white paper pages with a black elastic strap holding it all together. I turned on my bedside lamp, peeled back the strap, and opened up the first page. For anyone who reads this, please read with caution. Heed what I have written, as I have survived this long. But if you find this before I can give it to you, be careful, I wasn't able to finish it. The ominous message was all that sat in the middle of the page, and it made me sit upright in bed, instantly grabbing my attention. I turned the page once more, and this time was greeted with a full page of writing. Neat, rational even. I bent the book into a rainbow shape and let the 100 or so pages flick over and over like a flip book. I noticed 2 things. The entire book, bar the last 2 pages, was full. And the more the pages went on, the more erratic and frantic the man's handwriting became. I read the last 2 words on the last page of the book. She's here. A chill ran down my spine as I read it. I quickly flicked back to the front of the book and began reading from the first page. My name is Mark Ellis. I was a fire watcher. I was stationed in Tower 5, located in the Black Hills of the Black Elk Wilderness. And if you are here attempting to do my job because I am gone, then there are things you need to know in order to survive. Things that will help you see the next morning. Because believe me, they are out there. She is out there. Waiting, watching, pushing. Trying to get you to make a mistake. One mistake and you belong to her. You're in her house now and she does not want you here. I don't know what to make of all of this yet, but I pulled out my laptop and decided to start making my own journal about the things that I've seen and heard so far. And soon, hopefully, I'll be able to update you with the things that I have seen and heard since. I'll keep you all posted. Speak soon.
Supplies of every cache is overrun with those things. That should do it. You're not getting out of there, shitheels.
Shit heels.
How am I supposed to get supplies if every cache is overrun with those things? That should do it. Shit. How am I supposed to get supplies if every
I'm
cache
gonna
is
end it
overrun with those
right
things?
after this since I got extra time on the episode.
James, it's Ryan. Come in. I locked a bunch of those things in the room underneath the auto body shop. I'm heading to the visitor center now. James, do you copy? Shit.
There's a supply cache under here? I gotta get down there.
only reason I'm keeping it going is because I don't want to start another episode during. Well, you'll see. Let's see this and that. No, and that. No. There we go. Do, 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 do. Hmm. Oh, I hate them. This bitch is seriously like the bitch of bitches. Oh, don't turn around. It's like your equivalent of a clicker. If you've ever played he's still alive. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Nice. Forgot I had that axe. Thank God. Whew. Alright. Well, like, comment, and subscribe. Untold Horror Stories 3 will begin. I don't know, maybe tomorrow. Could be today. I don't know, maybe we'll go down here in our next episode.